If the situation is all joyous, it's all happy, then your behavior is also happier. And I'm a kind of person who's very, very focused in what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to change myself. One is the locus of control, which is purely internal in nature. The other one, which is purely external in nature. Behavior is based on these cues from the people and from the organization. Good morning and welcome to the third session in Unit 2, Organizational Behavior, where we are going to speak about the personality traits. What is so interesting about knowing somebody? It is not just about the name, it's not about the address, it's not about what you do, but it's all about your personality. What kind of person are you? What are the factors that distinguish you out of the crowd? How do people recognize you? The tall, the short, the dark, the fair, the handsome, the well-built. What are you is now the definition of your personality. Now, the physical features of you are only short-lived. But then, when we talk about the person, the variables influencing the individual behavior, starting from skills, ability, personality, perceptions, attitude, values, ethics, long list, followed by the environment, so the organization, group, job, and personality. So, behavior is going to be defined as the function of person and environment. Let me just redefine it for you here. Function of person and environment is the individual behavior that is going to define you as a personality in total. So that is why we are going to look about this. This is a very, very interesting topic. So you need to pay attention in terms of understanding the combination of personality traits with your work environment that is going to define you as a person. Moving further, let's first try to understand the propositions of the interactional psychology. Now, these words look very, very big for us, but let's start with a very, very small concept called as behavior, the function of continuous multi-directional interaction between person and situation. Behavior is a word that can be used on a positive as well as a negative factor. Why? What is behavior all about? How do you behave? How do you react on a given situation? So today, when you're working in an office, the first thing that comes to your mind is that your boss comes to you and gives you a news saying that you have been promoted and your salary has been increased. What is your immediate reaction? Happiness, excitement, joy? These are all that spontaneous factors that you see because of the news that is interacting around you. So that is why we call this as a behavioral function, which is a function of continuous multi-direction interaction between the person and situation. It's a continuous function. It's multi-direction. Why? Because behavior does not stop with one instance. It does not stop with one flow altogether. It keeps on coming back to you. It keeps on telling you that we have not finished, we have not done, we are yet to start. Again and again, it just comes back to you. It just sets in your mind that yes, we need to do something, we have to go, we have to build something. So it is something that is going to flow with it. So that's why I always say that this is something where we keep looking forward. It is a multi-dimensional perspective altogether. It's not going to stop with one instance. It is not going to stop with one direction altogether. It's going to keep on flowing. Person active in process, changed by the situation, changes situation. Now look at that. Behavior is changed by situation. No doubt about it. Why? Because the situation will make you to behave as per the need. If the situation is all joyous, it's all happy, then your behavior is also happier. But If the situation is sad, if the situation is something on a pandemic mode, if the situation is more on a grievance, then your behavior will also change. But then the other part, what you need to understand is, will your behavior change the situation? Definitely yes. That's what leadership looks into. When things are down, when things are fallen apart, your positive attitude, your positive behavior can change the situation. That's what MS Dhoni is known for. When you know that you need a player to play under pressure and bring the team back to victory, Dhoni is the answer. He goes back and says that, yes, I don't mind playing under pressure. When there's a 1 ball left and a 6 runs need to come on the scoreboard, Mahendra Singh Dhoni says that, yes, I want to take up that situation. I will bring back success. And that's why people say that behavior changes the situation. That's exactly what people look into. That's exactly what people behave. That's exactly what people believe altogether. So this is what we typically talk about when we talk in terms of the behavior. One, when the situation overrules you, when you are able to change the situation. So two-dimension aspect here. Number two, people vary in many characteristics. That's quite normal. Why? Because they have multiple characteristics, behavior that is coming into. One is that when you see a situational enterprise, a situational factor coming into picture. The second thing is the objective-based situation. The third thing is a person's subjective view of the situation. Two things. Objective, one side, we are going to look into it. The other thing is that the subjective view that is also coming into picture. Look at this two function very clearly. One side, objective orientation. There is something which is very, very purposeful in nature. There's something which we have to do it on a pinpoint basis. So I use that word objective in nature. The other one is subjective in nature. That means to say that this is something got to do with your situation, with your surrounding, with your nature altogether. So one, you have an objectiveness, you have a purpose. The other one, you have a subjectiveness. You have to be done because there is multiple situation. It is subjected to so many conditions. So that's what we are talking about in terms of the propositions of your psychology towards behavior. Now moving further, definition of a personality. How are you going to define a personality? Quite a challenging thing all about, but then you do have answers for it. I define personality a relatively stable set of characteristics that influence an individual behavior. So you have a relatively stable set of characteristics that influences an individual's behavior. Look at the entire definition here. It is so interesting to talk about it. Why? Because when you look into it, when you look into this dimensions altogether, it is a relatively stable set of characteristics. So something which is commonly repeated in you is what your personality tends to define. Personality is not those strange, uncommon characteristics or not those factors that comes inside all of a sudden. Personality is all about you trying to repeat the same characteristics again and again. So that's what we talk about as a personality, because we know that you have certain set of common characteristics which will be revealed time again and again. Time and again you want to go tell people that this is what I am. You need to accept me as what I am. That's exactly where your personality comes into picture. That says that there are certain set of characteristics that will reveal out of me. That's exactly where a personality is to be defined. Moving further, the personality theories that we are going to talk about, the trait theory, understanding individuals by breaking down the behavior patterns into observable traits. That's where. Now, for example, you break down, you try to decipher a person step by step, trying to understand what he How does he behave? What are the reactions? What are the factors altogether? So what we tend to do here is that we tend to understand the entire factor. Now, for example, let's say that there are certain observable patterns in you, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you write, the way you speak to others, the way you do your body actions, movements. So there's some observable traits in you. So we call that as the trait theory, looking at your features, looking at your personality, your movements. We call this as the trait theory. Followed by the psychodynamic theory, emphasizes on the unconscious determinants of the behavior. Very, very important, very crucial factor here. Why I would say this is because when you understand this factor, when you understand the challenges here, it emphasizes on the unconscious determinants of the behavior. That is very important. That is very needed at this point, at this juncture altogether. If you understand this factor, if you understand the change here, it tells that unconsciously, without our knowledge, there are a lot of behavioral characteristics which you might not come to know. It tells very clearly that this is what I am looking into, this is what I am made of, this is what I believe in myself altogether. So what we tend to say, what we tend to understand, how we tend to move forward, all those factors are highly essential for us to understand, for us to take forward. So when we look into this trait theory, it tries to emphasize about all our hidden characteristics, hidden qualities and factors altogether. Followed by the humanistic theory, which emphasizes about the individual growth and improvement. So it talks about what are all the essential factors, what are all the essential needs of an individual growth and development. So as an individual, how do I need to grow? What are all the parameters that I need to keep in mind to grow as a successful individual today? What are all the factors that I need to think as a human being today for my development? So all those factors are being spoken through the humanistic theory. Now we will talk about the integrative approach. It describes personality as a composite of psychological process. Now when a human psychological process comes into picture, it is a collection of vast amount of feelings, emotions, ideas, thought process put together. So I would say that this describes personality as a composite of individuals' psychological process. So that is very important here. Why? Because when we talk about this integrative, that means it is a combination. It's not an individual behavior. It is not an individual trait which we are talking about. This is a combination of several personality factors that we are talking about. It involves a lot of changes. It involves a lot of thought process altogether. So that's why I would say that this is a combination process. This involves a lot of thinking. This involves a lot of ideas put together. Followed by the big 5 personality traits. What are the biggest personality traits that we have as an individual? Now let's look at it. Extraversion, gregarious, assertive, sociable. Extraversion. Have you heard about those people who talk loud? Have you heard about those people who come out and speak to others? They are sociable. They love to mingle with people. They are kind of people who want to make an impression anytime, everywhere when they go. They don't believe in hiding themselves. They don't believe in putting themselves within the 4 walls, within the boundaries of a room or a workspace. They are people who are assertive, who are gregarious. They want to just go out. They want to talk. They want to prove that yes, they can do things. So that's why I use this word very clearly. They are gregarious. They don't want to believe in a simple functionality altogether. They believe that yes, they have to step out. Yes, they have to do things. and they will take it up. Now, the next thing, agreeableness, cooperative, warm, agreeable, which means to say that yes, I am cooperative. Yes, I do believe that I am a kind of person who listens to others, who will do things by myself, and I believe that I am that kind of nature. I want to be a personality who believes in being together, in being under a particular condition, under a particular term, under a particular fitness, a figment altogether. So I am cooperative, I am warm, and I am agreeable in nature. I want to be a part of it. So I agree with people. I don't try to argue. I try to go with them. I try to listen up with them, and I try to be a kind of person who is very composite, who is actually, a very soft type of personality. Consciousness, hardworking, organized, dependable. These are kind of people who just want to do their work, who just believe in continuously doing their work, who just continuously believe that, yes, there is an amount of work that has to be finished, so I'll keep on doing it. I don't want to change my personality. I just want to be here, hardworking, organized, and dependable. I will continue doing my work, and I'm a kind of person who is very, very focused in what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to change myself. I just believe that this is the way it has to be done, and I'll keep on doing it. Nobody is going to stop me. Nobody is going to tell me how it needs to be done. Rather, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm been doing for the last so many days. Now, the next thing is the emotional stability factors. Calm, self-confident, and cool. I am emotionally stable person. I am not derived, or I'm not hit by any other kind of factors. I just continue doing things which are known to me, and I will continue pushing myself to the next level as far as possible. I am not taken away by any of the factors. I just continue doing whatever is known to me. I'm that kind of a personality. I believe in that. I believe 100% that I'm a kind of person who just keeps on doing my job until and unless I have been, completely shaken off. But then I'm a very cool, confident person. I stick to myself. I do my job. I am a very stable person. I'm not going to be moved by any kind of news. The next thing, openness to experience. Creative, curious culture. These are the kind of person who are inquisitiveness. I want to know more. I'm not a kind of person who just wants to sit on the desktop, do my job. I'm a kind of person I want to learn, I want to know, I want to talk, I want to interact with people. I want to know more. I want to ask people questions. Why, how, when, what? All those factors comes into my mind. So I am that kind of personality. I am creative, I am curious, I am cultured. I want to know more, I want to learn more, and I want to keep growing. So that's why I am this kind of a person. I love this kind of a personality. So I want to know more and I want to learn. So these are the 5 factors: extraversion, agreeableness, consciousness, emotional stability, and openness to the experience. Followed by, I'm going to talk about the personality characters in an organization. Locus of control, focus. I control what happens to me. This is an internal kind of a personality. I just believe in what I do. I don't want to change. I don't want to do anything external, but I am controlling what happens to me. I know what has to be done, and I just believe only these factors. So I know what is concerned to me. I will control myself. I will continue to work. I am not changing those parameters at all. Followed by the external factor. People and circumstances control my fate. I am a kind of person who's more superstitious, who's more, attracted and affected by the external environment. So I just go about and use this word and I say that, okay, people and circumstances have effect on me. They control my fate. I am not being a person who can take charge of myself. There are several other factors that are openly available that actually hits on my circumstance, on my situation. So my open factors, when I talk about it, people and circumstances control my fate to a very, very great extent. These are the people who are actually controlling me. It is not me. I'm not just the person who can take charge, but there are other factors also which come and control my factors altogether. So that's why I bring in these two factors here. One is the locus of control, which is purely internal in nature. The other one, which is purely external in nature. Followed by the next thing that we are going to talk about is the personality characteristics in the organizations, where we are going to talk about self-efficacy. Yes, that's very, very important. Beliefs and expectation about one's ability to accomplish a specific task effectively. So I have the capacity to complete a task as it is expected that one can complete, one can do it all together. Now, there are sources of self-efficacy that we are going to talk about. One are the prior experiences and the prior success altogether. So one aside, we are talking about your experiences, your beliefs, how you have done it in the past, how capable you are, what are all have been your success path, your journey altogether. Behavior models, what kind of observations that we have gone through, how we have been able to prove yourself successful. Persuasion, the motivation that comes inside to follow certain thing, achieve the objectivity that has been told, followed by the assessment of current physical and emotional capabilities. Currently, the situation that you are undergoing, your capacity, your tenacity, your way of doing things, how you can take things forward, how you can handle the emotions, what are all your capability factors, all those things will matter a lot when we are talking about the personality characteristics in an organization. Followed by the self-esteem part, which is very, very important. Feelings of a self-worth. Since you know that in all the endeavors that you are doing, you are experiencing success, you are experiencing the factor of growth, the self-esteem is coming inside. You see that your self-estimation is going up, your motivation levels are going up, you are feeling happy about what you are doing. That's exactly what we want. The next one is the failure tense that decrease your self-esteem. If you see continuous failures, if you see that you are not able to achieve what you expect, you see that things are going down continuously, then automatically there is a failure that is coming in. So self-esteem is a mixture. When you see success, your self-esteem goes up. When you see failures, your self-esteem starts coming down. So this is why we say self-esteem is a combination, it's a mixture of all the feelings that we are talking about. Followed by the self-monitoring. That's very, very important here. Now, when you look into the self-monitoring factor, high self-monitors one side. Why? Because behavior is based on these cues from the people and from the organization. If you are flexible, you are adjustable, you are okay to the situation, you can overcome it. This is a kind of a flexible behavior that you will exhibit. You can appear to be unpredictable and inconsistent. Why? Because you are flexible. You can change yourself according to the situation, so you don't want to give an exact picture to the people. You will change according to the situation and show people that yes, you can overcome things by yourself. On the other side, low self-monitors are people who act from the internal state rather from the the situational based kind of thing. You show a lot of consistency because you have a very, very focused mindset altogether. You are less likely to respond to work of group norms of supervisory. You just like to be left alone. You want to do your work. You don't want to get disturbed. You are not a kind of people who will mingle and talk and do. You just want to do your job and you just want to keep moving further. So you see two factors here, one on the high self-monitors and the other one on the low self-monitoring. With this, I come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that all the information spoken will be of a great resource and help to you. In the upcoming session, we shall learn more about the personality traits and behavior. But until then, stay tuned and stay blessed stay enlightened. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session today.